George Clooney is now French. This isn't a rumor. It's a legal maneuver 20 years in the making. And while the tabloids are talking about his house, I'm going to talk about his paperwork. Because whether you have $500 million or 50,000, the blueprint he used to legally create options outside the United States is exactly the same. I'm Brad with Evolution Expats. On December 27, 2025, George Clooney and his wife Amal and their 8-year-old twins were officially granted French citizenship. It was published in France's official government record. This wasn't a celebrity whim. This was the final step in a strategy that started when most of you hadn't even heard of Facebook. And here's what I want you to understand. What Clooney did, you can do too. Maybe not at the same scale, probably not with the same budget, but the principles, the sequencing, that is available to anyone who plans ahead. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to break down exactly how Clooney built his international life, the properties, the timing, the family strategy, and the bureaucracy, and show you how to apply these same principles at nearly any budget. So if you're serious or curious about understanding how citizenship, residency, and international mobility actually work, subscribe to this channel. The laws are changing fast. France just tightened their language requirement. Portugal has gutted their golden visa. What Clooney did in 2021 might be closed by 2027. I'm here to make sure you know about these doors before they lock. Hit subscribe and drop a like. That's how the algorithm knows to send the videos we make for you to you. Now let's talk about Clooney's 20-year strategy. Most people, when they decide to move abroad, make the same mistake. They move too fast. They fall in love with the country on a vacation, they buy a property, they uproot their life, and 6 months later they realize the healthcare system doesn't work for them, or the tax situation is a nightmare, or they just don't like living there full time. Clooney didn't make that mistake. He dated Europe before he married it. Let me walk you through his timeline. In 2002, George Clooney purchased the Villa Olandria on Lake Como in Italy. At this point, he's a 41-year-old bachelor best known for ER. He's not thinking about citizenship. He's not thinking about exit strategies. He's thinking, this is a beautiful place. I can afford it. Let me see if I like spending time here. That's the test drive. For the next decade, Clooney spends up to 4 months a year at Lake Como. He learns what he likes about European life, the pace, the privacy, the fact that Italians, in his words, treat him like a neighbor, not a celebrity. He's gathering data. Then, in 2013, something changes. He meets Amal at a dinner party at his house in Lake Como. She's a British-Lebanese human rights lawyer based in London. By 2014, just a year later, they are engaged. Now, watch what happens next, because this is where the strategy gets interesting. They don't get married in Los Angeles. They get married in Venice. And that same year, 2014, they purchase a property in England. Why? Because Amal works in London. Her career is there. George is adjusting his geography to support his partner's life, not just his own. That's the second test drive. Now they have Italy and England. In 2017, their twins are born in London, not Los Angeles, not Lake Como, in London. And these children, by virtue of being born in the United Kingdom to a British mother, are automatically British citizens. That's not an accident, that's positioning. Then, in 2021, everything accelerates. Clooney writes an open letter to the Daily Mail, begging them to stop publishing photos of his children. In his words, the nature of my wife's work has her confronting and putting on trial terrorist groups. Let that sink in. Amal Clooney has prosecuted ISIS members. The security concerns here, they're not hypothetical. These are very real. And this isn't celebrity paranoia. This is a family that needs to think about safety in ways that most of us never will. That same year, the Clooneys purchased Domaine du Canadel, a 400-acre wine estate in Provence, France. A chateau, vineyards, olive groves, a beautiful estate. This becomes their primary residence. And over the next few years, George starts talking publicly about raising his kids on a farm, about wanting them to have dinner parties with adults, to do chores, to stay off iPads. He talks about the fact that, in his own words, France doesn't give a shit about fame. Just last month, in December 2025, they were granted French citizenship to all 4 family members. 23 years in total. 3 countries. A gradual, methodical expansion of their options. That's not running away. That's strategic positioning. And here's the lesson for you. If George Clooney, with all of his resources, took 23 years to find the right fit, maybe you shouldn't expect to figure it out over a weekend. Absolutely get started now. Rent before you buy. Visit before you commit. Date the country before you marry it. That's not just advice. That's what a 23-year strategy looks like in practice. Now, let's talk about how he actually got French citizenship, because this is where I need to be honest with you about what's possible for celebrities versus what's possible for the rest of us. George Clooney does not speak French. He admits this publicly. He told a French radio station that he's still bad at it after 400 days of Duolingo courses. Which one of us hasn't been there? His kids speak French fluently. Amal speaks French fluently. George, not so much. So, how does someone who can't pass a basic language test become a French citizen? The answer is Article 21-21 of the French Civil Code, the Exceptional Contribution Clause. It allows France to naturalize foreign nationals who, in their words, contribute through their distinguished service to France's influence. Translation, if you're famous enough, rich enough, or important enough to make France look good on the world stage, they will waive the normal requirements. The French government explicitly defended this decision. They said that Clooney's presence would benefit France's cinema industry. They said Amal regularly collaborates with French academic institutions and international organizations. They said the family contributes to France's international influence and cultural prestige. Now, a French junior minister publicly called this a double standard. And she's right. It is. But life isn't fair. Here's what regular people like us need to know. As of January 2026, France requires B1 level French. That's intermediate, enough to hold a conversation and understand the news. You also need 5 years of residency, a civics knowledge test, and a security investigation, as well as regulatory interviews. George Clooney skipped most of that. You, we won't. But here's the thing, and this is important. Most countries have some version of this dual track system. There's the regular path, and then there's the exceptional path. Portugal has golden visas. Malta had citizenship by investment. Ireland has ancestry-based citizenship that you can skip the residency requirements with entirely. The question isn't whether the shortcuts exist. The question is, which path are you best eligible for? That's where expert guidance matters, because you might qualify for something and not even know about it. Let me talk about something that the tabloids completely miss. What George Clooney actually gave his children and what you could possibly too. The Clooney twins are 8 years old. Let's count their passport options. They were born in London to a British mother. That's automatic UK citizenship. Done. They were just granted French citizenship alongside their parents. That's 2. Their father is American. Under US law, children born abroad to American citizens can claim an American citizenship, provided certain residency requirements were met by the parent. George Clooney has lived in the United States for 4 or 5 decades. Those kids almost certainly have a path to US citizenship if they want it. That's 3. Their mother, Amal, was born in Lebanon. She holds Lebanese citizenship. Now, while Lebanese citizenship is complicated due to gender laws, the point isn't necessarily the passport itself. It's the connection. The family has maintained ties, meaning if the laws change or a special exception were granted, they are ready. They kept the door ajar. That's 4 potential passports for the 8-year-old twins. Think about what that means. The European Union, and the United Kingdom, the United States, no visa required. They can live, work, go to university in any of them. They could have French healthcare, British universities, and American opportunities. They can choose where to build their lives based on what works best for them, not based on what paperwork they happen to have. George Clooney didn't just give his kids a trust fund. He gave them access, a second passport, a third passport, a fourth passport. That is the ultimate inheritance. Now, you might not be able to give your children 4 passports, but can you give them 2? For a lot of people watching this, the answer is absolutely yes, and they don't even know it. Do you have grandparents that were born in Ireland, Italy, Poland, Germany, Greece? Many countries have citizenship by descent programs that go back 1, 2, sometimes even 3 generations. You might already qualify. Your children might already qualify. And if you don't explore it, that door will remain closed. This is why I tell people, start with your family tree. Your ancestry might be your fastest path to a second citizenship. And I know what some of you are thinking. Brad, this is interesting, but I'm not George Clooney. I don't have $100 million. What does any of this have to do with me? Here's what it has to do with you. George Clooney has millions, but he still had to get his birth certificate apostille. He still needed background checks. He still had to submit and translate documents, fill out application forms, and prove his identity to a foreign government. Money buys lawyers. Money might speed up the process for some people. Money might open doors to investment-based programs that have minimum thresholds, but money does not completely bypass bureaucracy and paperwork. The paperwork for French citizenship is the same whether you're worth 500 million or 50,000. The apostille process is the same worldwide. The document requirements are the same. The translation requirements are always there. What George Clooney had that most people don't is money, a team, lawyers who knew exactly which pathway to pursue, advisors who understood his timeline, and people who could handle the paperwork so he could focus on his life. That's what Evolution Expats does. I'm not here to sell you the dream. I'm here to handle the bureaucracy so you can focus on your vision. Portuguese residency, Italian citizenship by descent, figuring out what doors are actually open for your situation. The link for that is in the description. It's the closest you can get to the Clooney treatment. So decide to take action, test, evaluate, adjust, commit. That's the Clooney playbook, and it's yours too. The people who do this well start before they need to. They get their documents in order while there is no urgency. They explore their ancestry options while the laws are still favorable. They build relationships with countries over years, not in a panicked week or month. The people who struggle are the people who wait until there's a crisis, political, financial, personal, and then try and figure it out under pressure. Don't be the second type. If you want to learn more about getting your documents ready when you need them, check out our document hygiene playlist. I'll link it in the description, as well as up here. And if you want to explore whether you qualify for citizenship by descent through your family history, or you want to find out what a permanent residency can do for you or your family's future, watch our relocation playlist. And if you're ready to have a real conversation about your specific situation, book the consultation. The right information makes it all possible. I'm Brad with Evolution Expats, and I'll see you in our next video.